All right. All right. Uh, bonjour. Bonjour. I didn't know that bonjour was good morning in French. I mean, that's what I found on the web. I was like, how do you say good morning? I know how to say bonjour, but I don't know how to say good morning. It said bonjour. Well, bonjour. Konnichiwa. Um, Top of the day to you. Um, hmm. Where do we start here? Um, Collective unconscious. The collective unconscious. Um, some of us, some of us grew up in neighborhoods. Some of us grew up in neighborhoods, and we grew up in schools that was very diverse, or that is diverse. Um, just thinking about the neighborhood I grew up in, you know, you'll see black people walking down the street, you'll see white people walking down the street, uh, you'll see Mexicans walking down the street, you know, Mexicans own stores, Arabs own stores, Indians own stores. That's from India, not Native Americans, but Indians. That's from actually India. Um, I, and I have to look up the cultural term. I don't know if they go by that, like by Indians or not, but I have to look into that. I'm a student. I'm a student, okay? In life, I'm a student, so I'm constantly trying to correct some of my, I guess, pre-existing concepts, right? Um, but yeah, so some of us grew up in these type of environments. You know what I'm saying? And we all share something despite our differences in cultures, despite our differences in language, despite our differences in faiths and beliefs. Um, we all have a commonality. We all share this collective unconscious, and it's two parts to this, in my opinion. We have what Carl Jung describes, right? Kind of this, this primordial, pre-existing, like evolutionary circuitry, brain circuitry, that produces these thoughts and stuff. So we all kind of like share these thought patterns or um, ideas and stuff, right? Despite which country you from, and then it's like, and then it's like, um, when it's concentrated into communities, we all share a understanding. We all share understanding. Um, you ever heard the phrase, "You ain't got to explain what's already understood"? I think it was a Lil Wayne lyric right there. In fact, I'm sure of it. Um, but yeah, so you dig. I got a couple stories for you. I'd like to share a couple stories with you right quick, just off the humble, to kind of exemplify what I'm talking about this unconscious, this collective unconsciousness. All right, real quick. So growing up, uh, there was some Arabs that owned a corner store in this neighborhood that I grew up in, and they had just moved in the neighborhood. They had just they had just set up shop. You know what I'm saying? They had just got the store and stuff, and they was probably like a month in, so like that, something like that. And you dig. I you feel me? I decided that I was going to use my 5 finger discount. I decided I was going to use my 5 finger discount. It is what it is, right? So, um, so when the cashier had his back turned, he was like around the corner or something. Uh, I took like 4 or 5 extra items. Actually, I stuffed my pocket full of items. You feel me? I was getting some little wraps and stuff. So I stuffed my pocket full of wraps. And next thing I know, he come around from the corner, like, put it back. Put he was like, put it back. Put it back. I was like, what you talking about? Cause I was gonna buy a couple of them. Just I thought I was slick. Boy, I tell you, boy, being young, boy. I thought I was slick. So I was gonna buy a couple of them. I was like, man, what you talking about? What you talking about? You dig? And he was like, man, put them back. Hey, I tell you what, the next thing I knew, it went from finger to barrel. It went from finger, put it back. It went from finger to barrel. I said, oh, right. So I'm still trying to maintain, you dig? I'm like, okay, man, I don't know what you're talking about, right? So I'm ready to walk out the door. I'm out. He comes from around the corner, locks the door. Put it back. I'm like, well, since you put it that way. So, I empty my pockets and stuff, you dig, put everything back. And I'm like, man, open the door, I'm out of here. You dig? So I leave. Um, the following days, this is the store we go to. They just happen to buy, right? So the following days, you feel me? I still need what I need to get from the store. So I go back to the store, knowing the situation. Now, I think me and him was the only two in the store. That's a very important part. Me and him was the only two in the store. So you feel me? We knew what happened between us. You know what I'm saying? I'm pretty sure somebody seen it outside the store, but they, you know what I'm saying? But that's a very important part of the story. Me and him was the only two that was in this altercation, that was in this situation. So long story short, because I'd already done dragged it out this far. Long story short, I go back to the store and resume as everything was normal. You feel me? We just go back to it like nothing happened. And when you live in these type of environments, sometimes you get these type of uh current events, right? Sometimes you get these type of events that happen, these current events that happen. And so um call it as you will. Some might be like, it's it can be to check temperature, it can be like to um it's a what they call it, a passage of right, or one was check, the territorial animalistic rationale behind it, you know what I'm saying? But anyways, in truth, to me, it was just it was acculturation. Is that the right word? It was acculturation, assimilation, or one getting to understand the other, right? But this is where the collective unconscious comes into play. This is where the collective unconscious comes into play. Um, as I said, we went back to we acted as if nothing happened. You know what I'm saying? I go in the store, I buy stuff. He sells me the stuff. I buy the items. He sells me the items. You know what I'm saying? We exchange money. You feel me? I'm buying wraps, candy, whatever it is. You feel me? And we just go about our day as normal. I still kick it outside the store. I would still kick it outside the store a little bit. You feel me? Excuse me. And go on about my day. This is where the collective unconscious comes into play. We understood each other through a conscious understanding off of what happened, right? We understood each other. The collective the collective unconscious comes into play here. Everybody else around us didn't have to consciously experience that. They didn't have to see it, they didn't have to hear about it. So there was no emotions, there was no feelings, there was no taking sides. It was none of that involved. You feel me? Me and him had that conscious experience, right? I was taking something, he stopped me from taking something, right? So what happens is through our behavior, me being from where I'm from in my culture, him being from where he's from in his culture, right? Through our behavior and through our interaction and through our interpersonal communication, we unconsciously, you dig what I'm saying? We unconsciously set a standard for those around us. So because I never made it a big deal, or because he never made it a big deal, and because we got along in front of other people, there was no BS. You see, now say if one of us would have went back and made it a big deal. Say if one of us would have went back and made it a big deal. Now you got me and the people I hang with feeling some type of way, him and his people feeling some type of way. You feel me? And it could have become, you feel me, worse. It could have been a worse situation. It could have been a worse situation. So we was able to create this collective unconsciousness of respect, this collective unconsciousness of respect and understanding. You feel me? And going forward, because I remember I had seen somebody that was trying to encourage me after that happened. I remember like somebody was trying to encourage me to steal again. And you know what? Because and the dude who was stealing, you feel me? He was on that. About that. Yeah, for real. And I was telling him, I was like, bro, I was like, cuz, I was like, man, it ain't even worth it, bro. You feel me? I was like, I think, I was like, man, look, you need a t-shirt, man. We can go get some money and get the t-shirt, bro. But he was more so on it, like he didn't care because he was just on back to that territorial. You feel me? The concept of the animalistic, like, you dig? But so it wasn't about the money for cuz, it was more so like, man, I'm doing this because I can. You feel me? Setting bound, you feel me? But I was like, nah. Now right there, that's a conscious interaction because I'm verbally saying, you feel me, and trying to influence him to not do that. You dig? But other than that, um, I think me and the store manager or the store cashier, you feel me? We was able to take a situation and create this collective unconsciousness simply by our interaction with each other. You feel me? And the way we respected each other. You feel me? And that's crazy because him and his brother and myself, like we all became cool. Like we all became like real cool. You feel me? Diversity. But that's an example of this collective unconsciousness that I'm referring to. I'm going to read something right quick. Just pause right quick. All right, real quick. It says, we mean by collective unconscious a certain psychic disposition shaped by the forces of heredity. From it, consciousness has developed. In the physical structure of the body, we find traces of earlier stages of evolution, and we may expect the human psyche also to conform in its makeup to the law of phylogeny. I have to figure out how to pronounce that. Phylogeny is what I think it says. I'll put it up, and maybe somebody can help me in the comments on how to pronounce that. Although it's going to be written again, so I don't know, but I'll figure it out. Anyways, anyways, so yeah, um, so what I interpret from that is like this evolutionary understanding, like this. So the same way the body has developed throughout years, you feel me? Our heart beats when we are birthed. We automatically come out breathing. Um, there's certain things that all humans share: blinking, breathing. You know what I'm saying? That's automatic. The same way that has been able to um, develop for us over time. He's saying that there are things about our mind and the way we think and stuff in our brain that has developed in the same way, right? So check this out. So check this out. Check this out. Um, okay, look like it's free lunch. Free lunch is about to start. So hold on, we got to move right quick. Free lunch is about to start. I don't want to be in the kids' way. All right, bet. All right, so one of as humans, um, like so as humans, one of our primary one of our primary ways of surviving, or one of the primary, I guess, features of our evolution, um, is being in a group, being in a group, community, family, right? Being in a group, community, family. Um, and so, real quick, I got another story for you. Um, I had moved. I had moved to a different city from which I was born. I had moved to a different city for my job. Uh, had moved, me mudé a otra ciudad para mi trabajo, y conocí un hombre viejo. Um, I had met an OG. You feel me? I had met an OG. Uh, we worked together, right? We had worked together. Trabajamos juntos, and um, I had moved alone, right? So I had to move to the city by myself, right at the time, and the OG recognized that, and he adopted me as one of his own, como la familia. You feel me? Like his family, like como su familia. He adopted me as his own, and he took me to restaurants. He took me to restaurants, supermercados, la iglesia. He took me to church. He even invited me to his house for a get together, man. And you know, I say all that to say this, man. He was like an uncle. Era como un tío para mí. He was like an uncle to me, man. For real, he was like an uncle to me. And like, despite so in my culture, it's very that is very significant to me, right? That period of my life was very significant to me because in my culture, um, sometimes we consider people family that's not actually family. Sometimes we consider people la familia, uh, and actualmente no es familia, right? Lo dije bien, am I saying that right? I need a, necesito una maestra, por favor. Necesito una maestra, por favor. Um, but no, seriously, in serio, um, we consider people family that's not actually family. In church, in like in mi iglesia, I grew up thinking that the whole church was my cousins. I thought I thought everybody in church was my cousin, fam. So that's how deep it is. But even when it comes to survival, even when it comes to survival, we have always had family that wasn't actually family. Note what I just said. We have always had family that wasn't actually family. Broken families, survival, survival, broken families. We've always considered somebody family that wasn't from our own bloodline. You dig what I'm saying? And so that, like what he was, when OG, you feel me, took me under his wing and showed me the city, you feel me, fed me, you know what I'm saying? He treated me like family. That is based on this collective unconscious. That is based on this collective understanding. I didn't have to explain my situation to him for him to understand what I was going through, or just the situation, just my circumstances. Rather, I didn't have to explain to him my circumstances. He already understood. That's because we share a common understanding, a common or a this collective unconsciousness of family, la familia. You dig? And so, yeah, man, the collective unconscious, man. Whether it's going back millions of years or whether it's with it's modern and today, some of us have this collective unconscious um, due to our environments. So we already walking in situations understanding with the mutual understanding. We already walking in situations with the mutual understanding and mutual respect because it's already understood. We share a collective unconsciousness. So yeah, man. And each one of those individuals was from a different culture, from a different country. You feel me? One had a different set of beliefs. You dig? Um, the other one we shared common beliefs. You feel me? But yeah, man, shout out to them wherever they are. I don't know where they are. I don't know where they at today. But I hope they doing well. I pray they doing well. You feel me? I hope everything is everything. Um, yeah. They, those was pivotal moments in my life, man. Those was lessons well learned. You dig what I'm saying? Um, I guess I'll conclude with this: how we act, how we treat each other, how we behave how we interact, our personal intercommunications with one another, it sets a standard. It sets a standard for the next generation. It sets a standard for the next generation. I'm gonna say that again. It sets the standard for the next generation. You dig what I'm saying? We are influencing, and essentially we're creating an an collective unconscious for them, beyond the one that we all have in the entire world. By the way, we all have an entire the entire world has like a collective unconscious. You feel me? But in this more modern era, we're creating that. And so, sure, we can say things, teach things, do things, to where they pick it up consciously. They see it, they hear it. You dig what I'm saying? And they try to remember it consciously. But there's another way that we can, you feel me, exemplify standards to them, and that's just by how we treat each other. That's how we talk to each other. All that. That's a very important part of it. It's unconscious. They're not being told. They don't have this rule book. They don't have this rule book or this list of rules on what to do. It's just already they see it, and in terms of like it just happens around them, and so it's kind of like in their peripheral. You feel me? And that's just as impactful as trying to sit there and be like, okay, do this, don't do this, do this, don't do this. Just simply our interaction with each other is extremely impactful on their minds and on their futures. It's unconscious. So that's it for today. Um, au revoir. Nos vemos. I know that. Nos vemos.